Hello, I'm Ben Domencino and this is Weatherpulse. Climate change is a complex topic and it can be difficult to understand sometimes. For example, what is the difference between climate and weather, and which weather events are being influenced by our changing climate? We spoke to Dr Andrew Watkins to find out how the Bureau of Meteorology monitors the climate and how it's having an impact on Australia's weather.
We're not so much looking at projections at the moment, although some of our research people look at climate change attribution, so whether heat waves and so on were actually due to climate change or not. Sometimes they're not, sometimes they don't have a climate change signal. We also look at the trends in the past and starting to understand and develop knowledge around how our climate has changed over the past 100 years in particular. Rather than just using statistics, we're now seeing the scientists use the full supercomputer and climate models, running them with pre-industrial conditions and modern conditions and so on, and getting a real handle on, well, was that heat wave due to climate change or that rain event? And publishing in these big Bulletin of American Met Society issues on exactly that topic. So we're really starting to understand now a lot better about how climate change is affecting our global climate and particularly Australian climate. Yeah, most certainly, and I think at the moment the most stark representation of that is what's happening in Cape Town over in South Africa, where we're running the risk of Cape Town, a city of 4 million odd people, running out of water. We've run that risk as well in Australia, and particularly Perth was at risk of running out of water, Melbourne as well some years ago. But the research was done at the time, a project called IOCI, the Indian Ocean Climate Initiative, to understand some of these changes in WA, and a project in Victoria as well. And because of that understanding, our governments have been able to make some good decisions around how to allow for changes in our climate. It's all about risk, of course, though. Nothing's guaranteed. Things could change very rapidly, as we have seen in some parts of the world. But at least through good climate science, we have an understanding of what's going on, and hence we can look at how we can mitigate it. We're heading away, or we think we've just passed the peak of a La Nina event. Quite a weak La Nina, as much of Australia has seen. We haven't really had significant rainfall or lots of tropical cyclones as we'd normally get in a La Nina summer. We think we're past the peak, heading into a more neutral period. Doesn't automatically mean we'll have average rainfall. What that tends to mean is that there's a broad range of possibilities. We could get a lot more or a lot less or closer to average. That means there's no real strong push towards one thing or another. We have to then look at shorter term factors like the southern annular mode, which is the weather systems to the south of Australia, or the Mad-Julian oscillation, which are systems around the tropics and so on. So we need to look at those shorter term climate drivers for the next few months. We can certainly have an extremely cold day in a very hot summer. It doesn't change the fact that summer as a whole was extremely hot. Climate tends to operate on these slower time scales, often because it's the oceans that drive a lot of what's going on in our climate, and those ocean temperatures change slowly, particularly when you're talking over large areas. Fundamentally, it's the old things about climate is what you expect and weather is what you get. I like to say that climate tells you what clothes to buy, but weather tells you what clothes to wear.